The cool part about the U.S. Open, I've said this a bunch, and this is one of the things I've stressed at the USGA. It's like we all got buddies who have made it to one U.S. Open, and it defines their career. I got a friend from Hamilton Farm. He didn't have a very successful pro career at all, but his introduction is this is Pat Wilson, who's played in the 2015 U.S. Open. And all of a sudden, it just like adds so much to your career. It's a career achievement, and so like you have to take care of those guys that might never be there again. And this is an important thing, and that was like my thing at the USGA was I wanted them to walk into the U.S. Open and know that no matter what they've ever done in their life, they've achieved something. I wanted them to see the kind of the bigness of like walking in and their eyes going super big, and I thought that was important.
Welcome back to another episode of Straight Down the Middle-ish. We have a very special guest, new Jacksonville resident joining us today, Jason Gore. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, Jason.
Thank you.
Nice golf clap intro.
It's the first applause I've gotten in a while.
Come on.
Yeah.
Have you ever made anyone's day worse?
Ooh. I don't know. You'd have to ask
my
wife that. I'm sure I've...
Other than her.
Can we check with Jason's wife?
Yeah.
I mean, every time I see you, and I know I'm not alone, you just smile when you see you.
I don't know, dude. I just...
Do you think if you had a six-pack, people would like you as much?
Ooh. I hope not.
No?
No. Listen, this is all very strategic, I guess.
It's not by choice. You had to do it.
Yeah, just go with it. It's like I used to look at like guys like Jamie Lovemark who were 6'4" and just perfect triangle, and I used to walk up to him and go, "Man, every time I see you, I want to punch my parents." But no, man, I just try to treat people the way I'd want to be treated.
Yeah,
so
you're the best.
And your name came up quite often when we were just throwing this podcast around. We would sit here, put the mics on, and just the three of us talk. Your name would come up a lot, just for
a bunch of things.
A bunch of things.
That's
good.
Your time at the USGA. I was telling them about my phone call with you.
Which one?
Oh man. Well, you're like the perfect hire for this position, USGA and the tour, because you can't get mad at you. So if someone's pissed off about something and they go to you, like I would ask for a different person to talk to.
You'd ask for a manager?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, give me Stephen Cox.
Ooh, the Karen of the tour over there, Matt.
But backstory, the tour hired Jason when he retired because the tour had, what would you say, some issues.
No, it was the USGA.
Sorry, the USGA.
Yeah. For the
tell us how this all shook out.
I didn't retire. I quit. I wasn't good enough to retire. I just quit.
Same.
If you've won before, you can retire.
No,
right?
man, Tiger can retire.
Yeah.
Tom Brady can retire.
Yeah. No,
I quit.
He just did. Hey, where were you when Tom Brady retired?
In the car coming here.
There you go.
Yep, I watched the Instagram.
I did too. It was sad.
He did that last year too.
Yeah, I think this time's for real.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, you had a very long career on tour, a lot of ups and downs. Just how many times did you earn your card, lose your card, earn it again? I think it was about 4 times, maybe.
Yeah, well, a lot. It seemed like a lot.
Right, and
I spent a lot of time at Q school.
The worst.
The one that really sticks out for me is the 2005 season. That's where you really jumped onto the map. Earned one of the first ever Battlefield promotions from Nationwide Tour onto the PGA Tour. How did that year really kick things off for your career?
Man, I honestly, I don't even know. It was, it really defined my entire career. I mean, that's basically what it was. But it really kind of goes back to U.S. Open qualifying. My caddy, Lewis Poehler, we were playing at East Lake, and we were playing in a Corn Ferry Tour event or Web Dog. I don't even know what it was. I think it was Nationwide Tour back then. And I had like 7 holes to go, and I was like 3 or 4 off the cut. And I'm like, dude, we're just going to go back to Chattanooga. We were driving. And he goes, no, you got to come back and finish off what you started. And I come back and I birdied like 5 out of my last 7 holes to make it into the U.S. Open, which was now Pinehurst. Mm-hmm. And the next thing I know, I'm in the final group at Pinehurst and shot my temperature on Sunday. But it just really gave me the confidence to know, like, going into that final round, I didn't know what was going to happen. All I was trying to do was, I knew at the end of the day, I was going to learn more about myself, and knowing that no matter what position I was ever in again, I would never see anything that bad.
Did you know that Pinehurst? Well, you were leading after several second round.
I was in second place going into the last.
Okay,
day.
but on
Retief.
You were leading
With
after
Retief.
the second round, right?
yeah, it was on cut day.
I think so. Yeah.
On cut day, Matty Every was in there as an amateur, and needed you to. What do you need, Matt?
I just needed you not to birdie number 9 because you were finishing on 9, and if you birdied, I would have been 11. It was a 10-shot rule then, and if you had birdied, it would have knocked me out. But I think you hit it in the front bunker and then got up and down.
Yeah, I think I hit a stupid good bunker shot.
You did.
too,
It was.
to get
It almost. It scared it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Underrated par 3 in world golf.
Oh, so good.
I think it's,
Do you think we'll get back to you? Do you think Pinehurst is better now or back then?
I was a fan of it back then, but that was probably purely just,
That
personal.
that was a golf course.
It
back
was
then.
it was all you wanted, and like now it's kind of luck and luck of the draw a little bit by hitting in the rough, but it wasn't. There was no luck of the draw. You knew you weren't getting a good lie in that rough.
Right.
Now you can probably get a good lie, spin it into those greens, but
All right, back to that 05 season. How much do you think, you mentioned Lewis Puller kind of riding your ass and saying, get back here.
you should know
I want
that.
to talk about
Yeah,
this.
he worked for me for a little bit, but he was your guy, right? Like the majority of your career. I remember even the talk of the U.S. Open that year was Lewis's hat.
PBR,
He was wearing
baby.
the PBR hat out there.
And
He's the man.
his red patent leather Adidas shoes. Yeah.
Yep.
He's something else.
He is, man.
But this is a great case study of how close some people are. So if that doesn't happen, I'm not saying you don't go on. You're a very talented guy. But I always go back to the Max Homer thing in 17. Shoots 5 under the back 9 to like make the cut or to finish inside the top 75 to get into the Corn Ferry or then whatever it was, web.com playoffs. And I remember tweeting something like, that could be like a $2 or $3 million 9 holes. Well, it's probably about a $40 million 9 holes.
Yeah.
But that's what, if it doesn't happen, you can get broken in the game of golf. And there's guys, we know Christo Grau, there's 100 that are so talented that just got broken maybe right when they were about to crack through that wall. So it is, looking back now, like it's crazy that Lewis pushed you. Maybe you do it anyway, maybe you don't. But maybe you don't play good at Pinehurst. But there's so many guys are so talented, and it's such a fine line between winning PGA Tour events and not even playing on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously wouldn't have been at Pinehurst, so who knows if I would have played well or not. I mean, the cool part about the U.S. Open, and I've said this a bunch, and this was one of the things I've stressed at the USGA, it's like we all got buddies who have made it to one U.S. Open, and it defines their career. Mm-hmm. Like, I got a friend from Hamilton Farm. It's like he didn't have a very successful pro career at all. But, his introduction is this is Pat Wilson, who's played in the 2015 U.S. Open.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it just, like, adds so much to your career. And I kept kind of telling them, like, listen, to Tiger, and a U.S. Open is just another week. And we laugh about it and say, no, it's not. But it really is to them, right? I mean, they prepare a little bit more, but there's certain things that
It gives you identity. It gives
exactly
that guy identity.
like it's a career achievement, and so like you have to take care of those guys that might never be there again. And this is an important thing, and that was like my thing at the USGA was I wanted them to walk into the U.S. Open and know that no matter what they've ever done in their life, they've achieved something.
Yeah.
I wanted them to see the kind of the bigness of like walking in and their eyes going super big, and I thought that was important.
Yeah. I've never thought of it that way, but I like that.
But that's why it's the Open, not the cliche word. But
Yeah.
it
I always
is.
tell my buddies that, that try to qualify that. It's like, okay, now what happens if you get in?
So
Like,
what? Now what?
what happens
week.
if you
Enjoy the
just
week.
sneak in there?
Right. It's just another week. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
But like you never know what happens. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm living proof of you never know. I mean,
I don't know.
I
if
made.
you're-
Well, I mean,
You're
what did I
a
make?
stud, dude. You just had a Battlefield promotion that year. I
Well,
mean,
that
it
was
came after.
That was
Came
after.
after.
The confidence came.
didn't you
probably
win
from
one before that? No.
No, I don't think I won enough to pay for the gas to get there.
Jeez,
How many US Opens did you play, Matt?
I don't know. 4, maybe.
It's like Cam Smith. I
I
don't
don't
know.
Yeah.
Even I played a couple. Crazy.
I know, right?
Zero.
But it is cool.
All right,
It sounds
hold
like I played on tour for 10 minutes, but I think I would view myself differently if I never played a major, and that was the only one I played. I played 2. So at least I can say I played. Actually, I led a major. At 2016 Oakmont, I did birdie the first. I was in the first group.
Oh.
Playing with Denny McCarthy and I birdie the first, so I was leading.
Wow.
That's a good hold, Bird.
So let's go back to Pinehurst real quick. 05, you're in the last group on Sunday playing with Retief.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You both shot a ton that day, right?
We sure did.
Did you guys just draft off each other? I mean, what happened?
Yeah.
Take me back to the night before. How'd you sleep?
That's
I
the
mean,
wrong draft.
it's such a weird deal having to wait till 2 o'clock to play golf.
So do you remember the old Sony Trio phones?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember those things?
Right.
So
Was it a flip phone?
no, it was like a BlackBerry
first
with
version
an
of like a
LCD.
BlackBerry.
Like it was, I thought I was really cool. I had a Trio phone. Anyway, the screen broke on it. So I didn't have a phone that week that actually worked. So I just turned it off, which was probably in hindsight amazing. But
Sepp Strucker style. He does that.
But I mean, we went out and I think my wife got Domino's or something. Like I remember like going to get gas in the car and getting recognized at the gas station, and I wasn't used to that. And our son had a double ear infection, so he was 8 months old.
Oh.
Fuck.
And so like there was so much other crap going on. Like I didn't really worry about it.
You didn't have time to get nervous?
I didn't. And then we got to the golf course early because I'm sure Lewis, since he worked for you, he's like, need to get to the golf course 4 hours early, work on your wedges, go have lunch.
God.
So that's what I did. And like everybody's like, oh my God, he's here early. And I'm like, well, this is what I do every Sunday or
Right.
every day I have an afternoon tee time, which was mostly Fridays. But that's what I did. And so I just kind of went there and warmed up and then went and had lunch and then went out and properly warmed up and went to the tee. Like it was just.
And you felt good?
I felt awesome.
Really?
I actually hit it
Too good.
on the range.
Oh,
Yes.
Isn't that the worst? That is the
Expectations. Like,
worst.
actually, I can win this.
Yeah, and it's like I started to press. Like I pounded one off the first tee. I think I hit it like 30 or 40 yards past Retief. Hit a perfect wedge left of the hole to a right hole location. I'm like, holy crap, I'm dialed.
Mm-hmm.
Drove it right, made bogey, then drove it down the middle on the third hole. You're not going to need a cart for this, so just hang in there. But
It's fine.
I hit wedge, thought it was perfect, blew it over the green, made 6. And then all of a sudden, like I hit it exactly the way I wanted. The wind kind of died, and there you can miss it by 2 inches, and it's instant double. But
Pinehurst just repels.
Yeah,
everything.
it's just
brutal.
And there's something to hitting what in the air thinking they're good, and then they end up bad. I'd rather hit a crappy shot and get penalized that way.
But no question. I mean, it was perfect. It was back left hole location. You can't go. I hit it perfectly, and all of a sudden I'm just like, oh, no, sit. And it goes down over the back. I don't get it. Anyway, so after that moment, instead of just trying to play the way Pinehurst is supposed to be played, I tried to start making birdies.
Yeah.
And there it's not good.
No, there's like 3 birdie holes out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just played all 3 of them.
Old Ross reared his head.
Every time I've ever played with you, you flush the shit out of it. I mean, you do, dude. You're in the screw. You live in the screws. What do you think held you, like missing your card, like losing your card, getting your card back? What was the issue?
Getting to the course too early, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. To be honest with you, like I didn't like what came along with it.
With the tour?
Not with the tour, just like with being that guy. Like it just wasn't me. Like I'm totally fine hanging out with some friends and the family or just being by myself. Like I didn't like all the obligations that came with it. Maybe somewhere deep inside I kind of sabotaged myself and I just didn't want to do it. Like I just liked playing golf. I love the game. I love everything about it. I didn't love all the responsibilities. So
what about you being such a friendly guy? Literally 100% of people that play golf on a tour love Jason Gore. But what comes with that is if you walk down the range, everyone stops you and wants to BS with you. It takes mental energy too.
It does. And like I'm a social guy, but I'm also kind of a hermit, right? So I don't know how those two get along, but like by the end of the day, I'm exhausted. I'm like socially exhausted.
I never thought about that, but that's what comes with the territory of being a popular guy.
Well,
Yeah, just get a 6-pack, dude. You get rid of that problem.
Well,
I'm good.
People want to talk to you because they envy you.
So you go from 84 on a Sunday there at Pinehurst to winning the 84 Lumber Championship just a couple months later. I mean, what a wild ride. That had to have been just an unforgettable season for you.
It was pretty crazy. And just at that point, it was like, I mean, I'm going to toot my horn here, but I shot 59 in that little like stretch. And at that point, to me, the confidence level, it didn't matter how I played. Whoever was going to win had to beat me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is just an unbelievable place. I mean, I remember I had shot 71 the first round at Omaha, and we know that Omaha is not the hardest golf course in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
That's 4 or 5 over par.
yeah. So, and I've got pink eye, like, so that's why I started wearing the glasses. And I'm sitting there with my coach, and
Who's your coach?
it was a guy named Mike Miller who was a high school buddy.
Okay.
So, and I'm hitting it so bad on the range on Friday morning. I'm like, dude, just leave me alone. Not in those words. I said, why don't you just skedaddle?
Go get some breakfast.
Go get some breakfast. Yeah, skedaddle, and I'm just going to miss this cut, and we'll go win next week.
That's the thing, though. Expectations went from a couple of weeks earlier to nothing. There's something about playing golf with when you're sick or your kid's got a double ear infection. Some of these guys were so talented. We've joked, you need to get food poisoning Wednesday night and just be able to get to the tee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a stretch.
It
but
might be over.
maybe how about a sore throat? We'll just start with a sore throat.
I had food poisoning at Greenbrier one year, and I was leading, or I was in the last group going in Saturday. I don't know if I was leading, but it was like I hit my tee shot on one and had to run back to the locker room. You don't want that, dude.
That's a tough place.
Maybe a sore throat.
Yeah, maybe like 12 hours worth of Imodium inside you.
Yeah.
But just a slight cough.
Yeah. So after you're kind of done playing, you land with the USGA. How does that come about?
So I played in the final group with Charles Howell and Cam Champ in the 2018 RSM. And I was, this was pre-back surgery. I'm limping around like the age I am, like the old man. And Cam Champ is hitting it 70 by me.
With a 2-iron.
With a 2-iron. He's hitting 4-iron off the tee, like to my driver. Like his ball speed's 5 miles an hour faster with his 2-iron.
His 2-iron is impressive to watch.
It is. Everything that guy does is pretty impressive. But at that point, like, we'd started an insurance company because that's what golfers do, right? You go to every great amateur golfer, and they're all insurance guys.
Maybe real estate agents.
And real estate agents. But so I just
OnlyFans. I mean, whatever.
Exactly.
Soon.
That's why I don't get a 6-pack. But so we just kind of started this thing just out of the blue, and I think I said something like, I'm just going to go have fun tomorrow. I'm just an insurance salesman trying to play golf, right? Yeah, ha ha ha. And so I get a call. We're at the Twin Fin with my buddy Casey Kirkman. We play every year in Scottsdale for this. It used to be called the Tommy Bahama.
Yeah.
And I get a call from Jeff Hall, who was my Walker Cup.
Yeah, I know
Jeff.
Yeah.
Who was my Walker Cup manager back in 1997. And he goes, "Oh, hey, your Christmas card got returned." He said, "Yeah, we just moved. We just moved houses. Sorry, I didn't use you. This was in California." So
there's better agents out there.
False. So he goes, "Hey, as you know, I want to run something by you." And he goes, "As you know, we've had a few problems with the U.S. Open the last few years." And this was right after Phil went running after the ball at Shinnecock.
Yeah.
And I think I probably said something sarcastic, like, "No, really?" And stuff like that. And he goes, "Well, we're looking for a guy who's walked the fairways, who's been out there, and your name got brought up." And at that point, I just played in the final group and yada, yada. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm still a golfer."
Yeah.
And I said, "But I'll help you with whatever you need." And we go out and play in this little, we call it the slap and giggle. And my back goes wacky. And so my buddy, who's definitely afraid of flying, we're driving back from Scottsdale to L.A., and I'm sitting there like this. It is the longest drive, and I'm holding myself up because I can't sit straight. So I get home, go to see my, obviously go see my wife, and I go, "I want to make a phone call with you. I want you to hear this phone call." And she goes, "What is it?" And I said, just come listen. So I called Jeff. He answers. And I said, tell me more. And he goes through this long, like, job description and said, thanks, Jeff. And I'll let you know. And my wife looked at me and she goes, this is all you. And I said, I know it is.
Yeah.
And it was at that point, like, I just couldn't stand up. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't do anything. And I'm like, all right, it's time. And especially after watching Charles and Cam, like,
Right.
just
They're like Gumby
It's
out
deflating watching the young guys play.
Yeah,
and that's a
they're-
compliment to them.
they're just so flipping good, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
they're just,
and they practice so hard. It's
And
like, stop practicing.
Well, they all grew up on the TrackMan from 12, so they're all like
They all bomb it.
Cameron Champ's something like 100% efficient. I remember speaking to Sean Foley. They're all now, they get the maximum they can. We were told to swing it smooth, and they hit it hard and straight.
Yeah. Well,
that's a whole nother conversation.
okay. So your time with the USGA, a couple years,
Yeah, almost 3.5 almost.
3.5 years. Wow, time flies. And you didn't touch all those courses up there in the Northeast.
No. Well, so I got
You
there.
must have played a few.
I played a few, but I got there in 19, and 19 when you just start a new job, you're just hair on fire, and I thought, well, damn it, next summer I'm going to play them all. Then COVID hit.
And Northeast was not friendly
No,
to
they were
visitors.
They were very tight.
You definitely smoothed things over though a little bit with the USGA and the tour players. Was that was why you were hired, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I can say to you guys and tour players that they cannot.
Right.
Right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
You're
I think the way I always looked at USGA officials, I kind of thought they were similar to like TSA agents. Like, really, do you have authority? I don't really know.
But I'm going to play devil's advocate because their job is to test, and yes, they've gotten it wrong. Maybe 1 or 2 out of 10 years, but I think because of that, it's just it just gives the players open slather every time. A small, like a micro thing, they make it into a macro. Not hammering the players. Sometimes it's give and take. But Mike Davis's job was to test like your mental thing too. Like there's a reason Mike Clayton once put it to me. When they built St Andrews and the old golf courses, the moguls are there because you're supposed to get good bad bounces. It's supposed to be a test of your mental ability. How do you handle a bad bounce? And I think the USGA bought into that, and sometimes you're going to get it wrong.
And listen, golf's played outside. It's a tough sport, and they know what they're doing, right? They're all golf geeks. They're all super educated on it. We just see it differently, right? They'll look at a whole location, and I'm looking back from the fairway of where I want to hit my tee shot of how I want to get to this whole location. And just because, like, setting up a golf course difficult is super easy, right? Like, it's just, you can put it on steep slopes, you can do it over here, you can tuck it in, but at some point you're going to make it so difficult it's actually easy because it's taken all the decision out of play. You have a 270-yard par 3, you tuck it
Right.
4 over a bunker and 3 off the left. Well,
Yeah, you hit it at
I'm just
50.
going to hit it over here.
Yeah.
Like my whole thing was, how do I tempt him? And this is probably not the PC way to say it, but how do you tempt a player to do something stupid?
So were you involved with
Right?
course setup?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
and-
like why 2-inch Bermuda rough or 1-inch Bermuda rough is perfect. It tempts you every time. I got a 6 iron. Yeah, it's all right. I can go for it. And then you hit a fly and you're 40 over the green.
Yeah, like that's the thing is I wanted you to step up over it and be uncomfortable, right? Like you had to overcome the doubt of standing over a shot and going, okay, I've got 7 iron in here to a whole location that's you got water left. I'm sorry, penalty area left. Sorry, I still can't do that.
No.
But was that one of your changes?
No, that was not one of my changes. I still call it a bunker.
What about the drop? Was that your idea?
That was after I got there.
I wish they'd gone back to over the shoulder.
That
for
would
the
have been
drop.
amazing.
That was, I mean,
I
that's
like a
as
lot of the
fair
rule
as it
changes,
gets.
though. I will say pin in's great.
I don't think
most of
Davis
them
Thompson
make
would
sense.
agree with that right
Right.
now. But,
Oh,
He could have tended it there.
but like that was my thing with setup, and I just added. And when I came in there, like I kind of bullied my way into. I sat there and tried to figure out what was important to the players, what they wanted, and I kind of started to bully my way into things. Right, like I'm like, all right, I can talk about anything with them regarding rules, and I'm not a rules guy, or because when I got there, that was when those those, the knee drop and flag stick, all this stuff kind of came into play. And within 28 seconds, they were talking about U.S. Open setup.
Really?
And so I'm like, all right, well, this is something that, and I just said, I'm coming. I'm going out there with you.
Yeah.
And then I went out there with Pebble. Kind of, they were welcoming, but not really. They were more like stand there and just watch. And there was a couple things that I think I really kind of made my point pretty straight when we were on the 14th green at Pebble Beach, and that green, it falls off, and they wanted to put it like 2.5 or 3 away from that big slope, right? Kind of tuck it more on the right side of that left.
You could put the pin in the middle of that green. It's still a crazy hard par 5.
And they're like, well, they're not going to be able to spin it off this, into these greens. I said, and I looked at Jeff and I said, Jeff, you give me sand wedge into the wind and I'm going to spin it back on 17-mile drive. Mm-hmm. Like, they're that good. I said, if you ask me to hit a shot, land it right here, knowing that it's going to come back on this Poana, like
especially uphill
into the, into a left to right wind, and it hits here like 3 feet left and it rolls all the way down the hill 40 yards. I'm coming to look for you.
Yeah, you don't want that on TV.
So, and I said, just put it over here. I said, they have plenty of room, but if they hit it in the proper spot, nothing's bad's going to happen.
That's like the hardest wedge shot ever.
That's
right?
You don't need to tuck that pin. So that's what I think the USGA sometimes don't understand as a player would. That's one, just leave that one alone.
And the penalty doesn't fit the crime, right?
Right.
Like, if I roll 15 feet down a little ridge and I got a 15-footer up a little gradual slope, then fine, I'm okay with it. But if it's rolling,
but the next chip shot is impossible.
Dead.
It's impossible.
It's dead.
Where it funnels down to is so fisted.
You got to lay up 15 feet right.
Yes.
Right. You have to pitch out on your chip, but it's but that was like kind of the thing where everybody started to go, oh, okay, I get it. And then there's a few things in there that you look at it differently, right? Like I said, you can make it so hard it's actually easy. Like, make me make a decision.
Yeah.
Make me do something I know I shouldn't do, but I can't help myself.
So what is different about your role with the tour now versus the USGA?
It's very different. I'm going to try to bully my way into helping with the Players Championship just because I love it. I don't think there's a problem, but just I love being out there. I love looking at it. I love trying to figure it out. But I think I'm more of just the guy that's banging my fist on the table for the players. Like, I'm representing the players. There's been a lot of stuff going on, as you know, but I think we got it to a great place. But I think I'm just kind of that guy that's going to sit around and say that's not what they want.
Can you share with us?
They need that.
Some of the main things guys are coming up to you about.
I think there's a little bit of how do I say? There's like a disagreement between the top 50 and the rest of the players. So we're trying to come up with
tours.
It is, but it isn't. Like, listen. We all know that if you're in the top, if you're not in the top 50, you know that these guys deserve.
Yeah. Like,
we can totally accept that, right? If you're 95th on the money list, you're not going, well, why am I not getting this? Because Rory's getting it. Why am I like? You understand?
Like 95% of the players understand.
They understand.
Yeah,
some don't.
You understand that.
Some don't. Some of those questions in the player meetings, it's like, oh, dude, like you just.
There's been some
a little self-awareness here.
Yeah, it's just not the way it works, right? Like,
I could bring a few up, and I was only at a couple.
So, anyway, like, that's. I'm going to change the subject real quick.
Yeah.
Talking about work here,
but I think we'll get it right. We'll get it right because I think all these other players, all they want's a chance.
Yeah.
Right. Just give me a chance. Don't let me keep hitting the ceiling of, no, you're not. Yeah, we know Cam Young has played great, but you're not allowed in here, right? Like that's what you have to be careful of. You have to just continue to give players opportunities to perform, and I think that's all they really want. Like, just if I play my best, if I play well enough to start beating these guys, then I should be able to play.
Yeah,
I should be considered a top
medium.
player.
You can't let the cliche of letting the inmates run the prison, but you also can't not listen to them. So that's where I guess you're here. And the USGA, I feel like, had a pretty drama-free time while you were there.
You just
from the outside.
no, it was. I mean, obviously with things with dealing with COVID and like moving a U.S. Open in September. I mean, there was some crazy times, but you know,
from the player's perspective, it seems like the temperature was way down on setup, on playability, rules. It seems like the USGA like almost went to the back of the brain of players wanting to complain about something when it was always at the front.
Well, that's kind of the way you wanted to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like just like what Matt said, like he won't. It doesn't matter if it's me or if it's anybody else. Players won't go after one of their own, and I think that's why I'm so not being a corporate guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going to be a player. I'm going to show up here in shorts,
perfect
and a hat,
for
and
it.
like players, they know I'm not guessing at like what we're trying to do, and so like. I mean, how many times have we all played together? Like that I'm not guessing at the things that go on inside the ropes.
Yeah, you know.
So there's another version of the player relations like Phil Marburger, but you've played.
Yeah, but I can say stuff to you guys, to the players.
That Phil probably wouldn't.
Yeah, that can't. Like I'll call your bluff. Well, this is blah blah. Dude, you know that's not true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stop being a pussy.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Play
like,
better.
But
One
we're
answer.
okay with that, right? Like, I mean, we all know, like,
It's the beauty of our sport. You are what you are.
yeah, like
deep down,
yeah.
people do know that
I couldn't
Cliche
imagine
again,
playing
play
a
better is
sport
actually true.
where judging is involved.
Right,
You
like-
know,
like-
I just couldn't do it. That's what's great about golf. You are what you are. If you're top 50, you're freaking top 50. dude.
yeah, like you're good. You've earned your right, and the guy who's 135 can't sit there and go like, "This was back in the day. Like this is how old I am." Like I can't complain that I didn't get the nicer courtesy car as Rory got. Right? Like, dude, I'm a schlep. I deserve.
I was happy to get a rental car. I was like,
but like,
They always gave me like number 74 in the courtesy cars. I'm like, God damn.
can you notice that?
Can I get like a
Why are you
65
noticing
or
that?
something.
something realistic, like a 68 or something?
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
Do you know if the USGA found someone to replace you? I mean, it sounds like a
Yeah, it
role
did, right?
that you
Scott.
have to have now.
Scott Langley.
Scott Langley.
Scott Langley.
So I was going to hire Scott because I was actually going to slowly move towards more inside the rope stuff, and Scott was going to kind of be my lieutenant. But
Assistant.
yeah, the lieutenant. I just called it. But that process was in the works for a long time, and then Jay called, and it was a tough decision. But like this is what
better
I
weather.
know.
Yeah.
It was the
Much
weather.
better taxes for sure. But this is what I know, right? Like, I mean, we all know. We know the tour.
yeah.
You know, like I said,
So-
I'm not a rules guy.
So what's next for you, Liv? I mean,
No.
USGA, PGA.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty happy.
LPGA.
I'm pretty happy.
What?
We're happy to have you in Jacksonville, dude. I was so pumped when I heard you were moving here.
I mean, we looked here 20 years ago,
Yeah?
and being a Californian, like, it just seemed like such a big thing. Now we moved from California to New Jersey to
So what's
Ponte
that?
Vedra, and now we're probably just going to retire in Seattle, so we hit all four corners.
You gotta get Dallas on the way, Texas on the way.
Yeah, tonight they got in and out there. We'll stop.
Ooh, in and out. Love it.
I bet you we'll get an In-N-Out here soon.
They just opened one in Nashville,
I
right?
heard some
Yeah,
of
they're
that.
coming east.
So, California kid, you grew up, I saw on your wiki page that the first thing they list is you grew up playing with Tiger Woods. What was that like, junior golf around Eldrick?
About the same as it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just better, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I grew up at the same golf course that Max Homa grew up, Costa Valencia, which kind of bugs me because like that was my golf course, and now they've totally given it to him, right? Like, it was but anyway,
Been replaced
yeah, I've been
by abs.
exactly by a tall, skinny, handsome guy. It sucks. But no, he was just good, and like that, him and I have had conversations about, like he's. I'll say this because I love him, and I've already told it to his face, but he's got no sense of reality because he's just that good, right? Like he's just like, well, these guys just need to go practice harder and do this. And I'm like, listen, dude, I could practice for 16 hours a day, work out for 5 hours a day, and I'm not going to beat you. It'd be like, well, Aaron, like all you got to do is just do a couple leg raises, and you'll be able to dunk from the free throw line. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
That's a
dude.
whole nother story.
You're better. You're better. You're more talented. You know, like you're gifted. And if everybody was as special as you, Tiger, you wouldn't be that special.
And on top of that, he does work his ass off.
He does work his ass off. I'm not discounting that one bit. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy's worked harder. The guy's done better. I mean,
I feel like he had ingrained discipline from the age of like 2 or 3. Like when your perception starts, when you're just starting to talk and walk, he was, you know, whether it's nature or nurture, he was disciplined. And
Yeah, his dad
He's
dangled
such a-
fast food in front of his face. Like, you can't have this until you run 8 miles.
but it worked.
Like, Dad, I'm
You
8.
can't knock it. It doesn't work for every family, but it certainly worked for them, obviously. So, but wasn't Carson Daly was part of that crew you guys grew up with?
he was.
I
I
listened to
mean,
him on a podcast today. That guy is so interesting to listen to.
Really?
he's awesome. He's awesome.
Did
but
you play with him at Pebble a couple years?
a few times, and then he every time we played together, he missed the cut. And then he played with Ken Duke, and he made the cut. And I'm like, dude, I'm done.
Didn't he win with Ken Duke?
He did win with Ken Duke.
Are
Yeah.
you serious?
And
He
I'm
just
like,
had a huge back surgery. He hasn't barely played in 2 years.
Ken Duke?
No,
Carson?
Carson. Yeah, he's just now getting back to golf after a couple of years.
So you did know Carson growing up playing junior golf?
I knew a kid named Carson. I didn't know it was Carson Daly.
Really?
I just never put 2 and 2 together. Like, I just
I was like that with Jake Owen. And
Were you?
Yeah.
Just
We saw him at Pebble like 4 years ago. I'd introduced myself. He goes, I used to play junior golf against you. I grew up in Vero. I was like, no way. I had no idea.
isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Like, just. But yeah, I knew a guy named Carson. I knew we used to hang out with a guy named Carson. I just never put 2 and 2 together.
Who else in that crew? Chris Riley, about
Chris-
the same age.
Chris Riley was a San Diego guy, but yeah, we played together.
Perez, was he
Perez was a San Diego guy.
your age?
Chris Tidlin, you remember Chris
Oh,
Tidlin?
Yeah,
Oklahoma
played
State?
Oklahoma
Yeah.
State. Yeah,
Yeah, he was in that. We were, kind of grew up together playing, and there was a lot of guys that were just super talented that just never made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Dude,
always,
tons of guys.
But I think like it was the opposite of Tiger. Like they had the same kind of discipline, and I think when they went to college, they just were like, "I'm out."
yeah.
So-
So that's what I'm saying. The Tiger, the discipline. Sometimes I always say the kid who's growing up, every kid who was good at 10 wasn't even playing golf at 18.
Right.
Because there's a thing about learning to lose, and if you never lose, and then you get to 16, you start losing. That seem to throw the
I'm going through it right now with my kids in sports. My boy's 10. He's pretty good at whatever he does. And the politics already in it is disgusting. And it's like some of these parents, it's like, dude, this kid's got 8 years to fuck this up.
Yeah.
Like, it's too early to be grinding for this.
Daddy
I think
ball.
losing is the best thing ever when you're a kid. It's you need to lose and lose and lose and lose, and win every now and then.
Sprinkle a win in there.
You need to do that so you know how great it is to win,
Yeah.
right? Like
Jason, I think one of the things you should do at the tour is bring back the 84 lumber.
he just passed. Did you see that?
Did he?
Yeah, Mr. Hardy just passed on his 100th birthday,
Oh, my God.
Wow.
like 2 weeks ago. So
Wow.
it'd be great. That was an awesome event.
Yeah.
They treated us so well, and that golf course was obviously I might be a little biased, but I loved it.
It's no Omaha, but,
It's no,
I mean, it's
But
pretty
that was,
good.
I feel like I didn't never play it because it
Yeah.
finished before I got on tour. But that was what set like Wells Fargo off, and the tournament started trying to better each other how well you could treat the players.
Right.
Then when
They were the standard for that, probably.
it was unbelievable. Like they sent gifts for our kid's birthday. Mm-hmm. Like there was just not any stone unturned. You get back to your room and there'd be a shirt, there'd be a gift, there'd be something. Like it was awesome, but yet you had no idea how to pack it
Yeah.
and
You're
get
like,
it
how do I
home.
get
But
this home?
they're like, "Oh, great, you gave me a golf bag. How the hell am I going to get this home?" But it was, but they're phenomenal people, just a great group of folks, and like it was. You're right. It was the tournament that kind of was the measuring point.
All right. Before we get you out of here, give me your best Lewis Puller story.
Well, there's a couple times where I had to bail him out.
Really?
Yeah,
from a bad situation.
yeah. My best Lewis Puller story.
I got
What is Lewis Puller
I
up
got.
to?
He's just
He's taking care of his mom.
take care of his mom in DC. I got a good one from Omaha. Actually, we were in the casino there one night. We were playing that web.com or whatever it was called at the time. And we're playing double deck blackjack, all right? And he's hammering Heineken's. And
Shocker.
yeah.
Not the 0.0.
No.
for all.
No. And we're in the like high limit room. It's like $25, but it wasn't much. But anyways, he's getting fleeced. All right, and he goes, if you give me one more 14, I'm gonna throw this beer bottle through that TV. And we're playing double deck. So this lady's dealing the cards. Boom, he gets his cards, flips them up. 7-7. I'm right next to him. I like reach over to like stop him from doing
At least
it.
you can split that. Hang on. You can technically split that.
No, it was against the face. So he hits.
Oh, God.
He hits face card bust. And I'm like momming him. You know when you pull up the stoplight, I'm like arm over here. I'm like, no. And the dealer goes to take his chips, and he takes the chips and throws them over her head and just walks out of the casino.
Oh God!
We need to go back and get that security footage. That would go viral these days.
It would, for sure. Like we're in Davenport. We're in Moline.
I've been arrested there.
So is he.
Yeah. Isle of Capri.
That's
where I got arrested.
Those damn cops.
Damn. Some cops
We
there.
used to call it the pile of debris. So they were there, and I don't drink very much. I haven't had a drink in 12 years because my buddy Casey went to AA, and I just kind of quit with him. But
Wow, good for you.
you can't keep a body like this by drinking, buddy. So we're there, and they looked at me and like, will you escort him out? I'm like, no problem. So I grab him. He takes one step outside, and the cops are there to arrest him.
Oh,
So for drunk in public.
Can't do that?
I guess not.
I think there's been quite a few people get arrested there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you
There's
know,
got to be some sort of deal going on.
There was.
Yeah.
Need an internal investigation.
yeah, we might need a FBI.
He would always come whenever he was working for me. He would always say, you just got to hit your putts harder. Hit your putts harder.
I love that.
That was his go-to line. Was hit your putts harder. He's like, Gore doesn't hit his putts hard enough. You got to hit your putts.
You know what? He didn't attract attention. He would sit there quietly, but he's the guy, and everyone would come up to him. But he wasn't
He's
there.
so
Some of the
unique.
caddies like yahooing, and they're funny. I'm not taking him away from them, but he wasn't like that. Didn't need to do that.
He's kind of like off the grid,
He is kind of off the grid. He's gone from
but he's always been that way.
he's gone.
He loved golf. God, he loved golf.
He still does. I mean, he's got a kid that he's kind of like looking after, like a young golfer, and he's like, I want you to take him in for like a week and just go practice with him. I'm like, dude, I don't have time to see I don't have time to do laundry right now. And you just want me to take this kid in and just so. But
He's got a pet fox.
he does.
I've seen that.
Yeah, you seen that? I've sent you that
Yes.
video. The fox just comes in
It's
from the
just-
backyard and he like feeds it out of his hand.
Yeah, he just gets like these, those like cut up pieces of steak,
Yeah.
like that's the junk that you buy at the grocery store. And he'll just he'll just put it in his hand. This fox comes up, grabs it, goes back, feeds the kids, comes back. It's like, we're just laying there, sitting there, like hanging out. It's great, most random thing.
My last random question is the par 3 course at Hamilton Farms. When I was with you there, we didn't get to play it. How good is it?
It's awesome.
Everyone says it's the number one.
It's I think it's the only USGA course rated par 3 in the country.
It looked good. From
What's the
parking
longest
lot.
hole?
The average hole,
proper.
the average hole length is 187 yards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's legit.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound fun at all.
Like 240, I think is the longest hole. I could
That
be
place
wrong.
is
But
crazy, by the way. Hamilton
240?
Farms has equestrian, has everything.
yeah, the United States equestrian team's there, and I've never ever seen a horse there. It's the
You weren't riding any horses up there in the equestrian?
I just pay for them.
Oh,
My wife and daughter are into
Oh,
that.
you and Matt Jones. Matt Jones' three
that's
daughters do it.
It's an expensive hobby.
That's
Yeah.
another enticement to get you down to Florida.
Yeah.
A lot of
Ocala.
horse people.
Well, New Jersey's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty popular, but everybody's like, "Oh, do your kids play golf?" I'm like, "No." Like, your daughter doesn't play golf? I'm like, "No, it wasn't expensive enough for her."
Dude.
Well, it's good to have you down here in Jacksonville. Love hearing about that new role, very much needed in the PGA Tour. And thanks for taking time out of your day to come hang with us in the garage.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jason.
Cheers.
You're the best.
Yeah.